Welcome to the Political Matrix News. We have the sources, we have the truth from inside the political matrix.
Good evening, Scott. Are you in Tel Aviv or where are you at on location?
No, but I am. I had some stuff to do on my job site today, and we got a meeting tomorrow with one of the inspectors, and we had the fire marshal in today. So it's just administrative headaches kind of thing. So you just got to come and play the game and listen to what the inspectors have to tell us, and then do what we can to make them happy.
Right.
So,
well, welcome guys to the Political Matrix News. It's me and Scott here tonight, and it has been one heck of a week.
My God, what a news!
I mean, we thought it was a crazy week last week, and granted, I mean, we've had the memorial service for Charlie Kirk. We've had Jimmy Kimmel get fired, then came back. He rose from the dead in 3 days. I mean, it's like, he thinks he's Jesus, and he's not.
I know, right? He does think that. I'm with you on that.
We have assassinations going on still, continuously. I mean, we got governors of different states trying to encourage more violence against law enforcement people. I mean, it's been a crazy, crazy week. So I don't know where you want to start at.
Boy, it's hard to say, but since you just mentioned Jimmy Kimmel, we can talk about the competing story with that from Roseanne Barr, who was understandably kind of miffed that Jimmy Kimmel said something offensive, and he got to come back a week later. She had her entire life turned upside down.
Exactly.
By
Canceled.
ABC. Canceled.
Yeah. She was totally canceled. I mean, they've been changing the name of her show from Roseanne to the Connors.
Right. At the time that happened, the ABC's president, who was Channing Dungey, at the time said, Roseanne's Twitter statement is abhorrent, repugnant, and inconsistent with our values, and we have decided to cancel her show. Which apparently means that Jimmy Kimmel's statement is not abhorrent, is not repugnant, and is consistent with their values, because they brought him back in a week. But I will say this, the reason that all of this happened the way that it happened is because the person who suspended Jimmy had no intention of firing him and was just concerned that his statement that he had planned to make, because he shared with this person what his planned statement for the next, or his monologue for the next night was going to be.
Right.
And they felt that it was really just going to inflame the situation, and it's better just to kind of tamp it down and let it go for a little while, so that he can, so not in any way to not support Jimmy, because there was not a moment when ABC was in disagreement with Jimmy. So
no, they weren't.
No,
there's no disagreement with Jimmy. In fact, they keep, they keep feeding the beast. I mean, people don't really understand the rhetoric that he was using. And he apologized. We're going to show a clip here of him apologizing. But he apologized in a manner where there's no apology. He was basically saying that he was sorry that he talked about a dead guy and a dead kid and everything. And he understands the sympathy and the empathy that he has for the family and so forth. But he did not apologize for what he said. And in fact, he actually thanked Donald Trump for giving him more ratings, and he thanked a few of the idiot Republicans who are defending his freedom of speech, which has nothing at all to do with the freedom of speech. I mean, these politicians, Rand Paul, Ted Cruz, I mean, all these other guys know what the freedom of speech is. They know what the First Amendment is. It has nothing to do with the workplace. It has to do with the government allowing you to have free speech, not the workplace. You work for a private individual, they can cane you anytime they want. But this hate speech generates all this anger that is happening today. It generated the anger against Charlie Kirk. I mean, with engraving bullets, which is not a normal thing, by the way.
It's becoming a little more normalized, though, because the ICE shooter did the same thing.
It happened today. It happened today in Dallas. They killed, which is interesting. He killed detainees and shot detainees, which is interesting because I know it was on purpose. It was not a marksman shooter at all. I mean, he was just randomly shooting, which is
and basically the only people that he killed, as far as is from the stories I read, the only people that he killed were the dang immigrants.
Exactly, and he killed and injured 2 immigrants, and killed himself. I
And
mean,
then
he
kill
didn't even
himself.
kill the ICE officers or injure the ICE officers. He did attack them.
Yeah,
Then
yeah.
again, we had this attack on the FBI office here up north in, I think, Massachusetts or New York, in that area last week. And so we have all this here anger and angst against, the government and against people who are doing, I hate to say it, political partisan right-wing policies, which are not really right-wing and not really partisan. They just have to be constitutional. Which, I mean, these guys are against the Constitution, which they say they love. They're against freedom, which they say they love. Yeah. And they support violence and they support killing people. I mean,
which
it starts
they say
out with,
they hate.
Exactly. It starts out with the unborn, and it just goes from there. I mean, I hate to say it here, but, the whole pro-choice movement is nothing but a pro-choice movement so they can sell baby parts for every, so doctors can sell baby parts in the black market and everything else. I mean, it's not really about a mother's choice or anything. It's ridiculous how they're doing it.
No, that in my view, that's a side.
Well, it's a side hustle.
Yeah, exactly. The reason that they're doing it is because they can fundraise off of it. It is all about fundraising. And I know we sound like a broken record when you say that, but the people that don't understand that haven't seen it up close like we have. I mean,
exactly.
We have been in the rooms when these narratives are created.
Yeah.
For issues, we've created narratives for issues before,
and we still do.
And we still do because
but we don't
job.
do it. But we do not do it in a nefarious manner.
No, but the thing is the reason that we can recognize this for what it is because we see it and we've done it.
Exactly.
But just not in this way, because these guys have a completely hollowed out soul at this point, because they literally do not care what the effect that of the narratives that they put out there have. Yeah. They only care up beyond how well it rings a cash register. The more stress that it causes, the more people they can engage with, the more money they make, and that's all they care about.
I mean, Congresswoman Crockett, please realize this. You're inciting violence against law enforcement. You're inciting violence against people. AOC, same way. Omar, same way. Hakeem Jeffries, same way. All you guys have got to stop with the hate. I mean, I know we talked about this last week about stopping the hate, but obviously nobody gives a damn about that. They just care about ringing the cash register and jinging it up some more to where they can just get more violence because they're making money off of violence. Mm-hmm. And it's sad. I mean, we have the governor of California who's saying it's illegal for the ICE agents to protect themselves by putting a mask on so people do not dox them or attack them when they go home so their families are safe. He's against the safety of their families. I mean, we have governors here who are pushing for violence.
The thing, they're literally creating situations of violence, because the thing that amuses me the most about this is that the governor passed a law. He signed a law within the last couple of days, banning those masks. The problem is, the federal authorities their posture is going to be, okay, come take it off me.
Exactly. But what about COVID? COVID, everybody had to have a mask.
Just stay with that. It is the most ridiculous posturing thing that he could have law he could have possibly passed.
It
has nothing to do with solving problems, because he's not trying to solve a problem. The problem he's trying to solve is his popularity, because no one wants to vote for him for president.
I think Newt Gingrich needs to bring back his PAC, American Solutions.
I know, right?
Because, I mean, obviously we are bankrupt on solutions as far as a bipartisan effort goes. I mean, we even have Republicans siding with these Democrats here on lamenting about, hurting people's feelings or violating their First Amendment rights and bullshit like that. I mean, it's just sick.
It is sick, but I'll tell you where I agree with them is simply that it really wasn't the smartest idea to involve the FCC in any way.
Well, that's true, but that's their job. That's all they do.
I mean, the thing is it is well within their authority to do it because of what he has said, but it's just bad optics.
Oh, it's bad PR. I mean, especially when the same guy who was a deputy director of the FCC back during the Biden years was very, very supportive of any type of rhetoric or any kind of free speech or any kind of abuse of free speech on the airwaves. And now that he became this, so it looks like he's just kowtowing to Trump, and because Trump doesn't like it. But I mean, that's more, I think, a coincidence than anything else. I mean, because the reality here is that when you're on the net and the airwaves like that, it's not like cable, it's not like podcasts, it's not like the internet. You have a responsibility to shareholders, you have a responsibility to viewers, you have a responsibility to the government, because there's a fair and equal access law and everything else with the public airwaves. And whenever you're using it as a political platform instead of an entertainment platform, where's the equal access to that? Or where's the equal rights to that and everything else for the other side, of which there is none? And so, I mean, you're violating several different issues here and several different laws. I mean, you're more or less in-kinding contributions and everything else, doing political in-kinds, because you're doing a political narrative and political push. And yeah, he does have the freedom of speech. And yes, we are not an authoritative country because he did come back. Everybody was kept on saying, oh, it's an authoritarian nation. And all this here, Trump is controlling everything. Obviously not, because ABC caved to the liberal creative people who says, oh, you're hurting his rights.
I don't think that they caved at all. I think that they are completely supportive of what he said, and if they thought they could sing and dance about Charlie Kirk being murdered, they would do it in a heartbeat.
But only Disney.
Bob Iger, that whole crew, I guarantee you, when they heard about it, they were like, they may not have been laughing, but I'm sure there was a lot of yes.
Because guess who is not on board is the carriers of ABC. The people who actually carry ABC on your airwaves are saying, no, it's not going to happen. We're not putting Kimmel back on Nexstar. And Sinclair said, fuck.
No. Nope. And on top of that, they represent almost 25% of the affiliates.
Exactly.
All right. So the question is going to exactly. So as if that show wasn't losing enough money, now it's going to have 25% fewer viewers than it already has.
And it's not like they're small markets.
Oh no, these are big. These are big. The reason Sinclair owns them is because they're big market shares, and so not only are they is he is it a lot of just those two is a lot, but there are going to be others. I mean, the others are just not doing it, but they're just not big enough names to to splash like Sinclair and Nexstar. So it's going to be I think there's a pretty solid chance, especially if we can get around 30% of the affiliates to not carry it.
Right.
There's going to be a tipping point. I think it's right around 30% because because these guys need to make some money. And I wonder, I'll tell you what would be a fun complaint, FEC complaint to write, would be to find out how much money Jimmy Kimmel is losing, which I want to say is probably in the $30 to $40 million range.
Okay.
And then call that a political contribution, because the only justifiable reason, and the complaint will probably go no, but because the people, well, I don't know, I don't know how the FEC leans. I think they lean a little bit more to the left, because they're government employees, and government employees in general lean to the left.
Into the left, yeah.
So it'll probably go nowhere, but it'd be interesting to see, and if we could get some coverage on it, it might push people a little bit further. I mean, we certainly need to talk about it, and we could talk about the complaint if we file one.
I mean, it's a nightmare, really. I mean, the whole thing here is a complete cluster.
Well,
and how people are handling it.
Well, it's a naked in-kind campaign contribution. There is no other way to interpret what they're doing. And and yet no one's really said much about it. We definitely, what? Let's do it. Let's go ahead and start drafting an FEC complaint for that.
Okay, we can do that.
Because we can hit them for Colbert, we can hit them for Kimmel, both of those from start to finish of their nightly shows.
Right.
Were these anti-Trump narratives that they were using just to
affect the campaign.
Right. And I don't care that, yes, they do have the right to say it, But when you say it through a platform like that, then you are in-kinding your platform.
Exactly. And there's no equal access. There's no equal opportunity whatsoever. I mean, I don't think he realizes here. I mean, he actually was canceled on the exact same day that Bill Maher was canceled, I guess 21 years earlier.
Yeah.
And he actually replaced Bill Maher. But Bill Maher is doing the thing on cable, which is totally different. And actually, Jimmy Kimmel came from cable with the Man Show.
That's right.
Him and Adam Carolla. And what is it, Dr. Drew? I think Dr. Drew was also part of that, maybe?
No.
Yeah, well, he was with Adam on some other show. Anyway, but my whole point is that was all cable. And so whenever he had his antics and everything else, everybody thought he was funny. He was funny at the time. You know, whenever you got a whole bunch of girls jumping up and down on trampolines and jello fights and everything and all the wonderful Man Show stuff, it was hilarious at the time because it was all done on cable and it was very subjective and not on the public airwaves. You had to pay for it, basically, for all you kids and little kids and everything out there who are watching this who don't remember what cable is because you're so used to downloading everything now. But back in the day, you had to pay for it. And it was actually pretty expensive back then. And so, I mean, now, I mean, him being on network for 21 years, you'd think he'd realize.
Well, when no one challenges you then you just assume that what you're doing is okay.
Well, when your ratings drop like a rock.
But it doesn't matter. He's getting paid.
He is getting paid.
I'm pretty sure getting paid to the tune of about $10 million a year.
Yeah, he gets $10 million a year, which is not bad. It's pretty. I mean, I'd take it.
You know, the sad thing is that when he's not doing political comedy, he can be funny. That show has the ability to be funny.
Oh, it does. If he would just leave the commentary out of it, and no, it's not a violation of his First Amendment rights or violation of his freedom of speech. He has an entire. He's on that show 1 hour a day, so he has an entire 22 hours, probably 20 hours a day where he's awake, where he can tweet about things, he can chat about things on his own little podcast, like Jon Stewart has his own separate podcast away from the Daily Show. I mean, Stephen Colbert's probably going to be getting his own podcast. I mean, Tucker Carlson went off and left Fox News, which, you know, was actually pushed out by Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert, who actually were pushing for him to be fired, and they did fire him. And he's out making $20 million a year now on X. And so, I mean, you know, there is light at the end of the tunnel whenever, if he actually has enough ratings to make it. But, you know, he has to have a good following to do that. And that's probably what he's terrified of having, is not having the following to do that.
Now, what he's terrified of is the fact that he's going to be making the same jokes and still not get paid. Because all of a sudden now they're going to realize that the reason that his ratings are tanking isn't because people are like even philosophically opposed to what he's saying. It's that he's making the same joke every night for years. And even people that agree with him are tired of hearing it. I mean, how many times you got to hear the exact same flipping joke before you're just like turning it down? Well, what happens is they just don't turn it on. So
it's really messed up.
Yeah, well, that is anyway. So just in small little stories, Peter Strzok, if you remember him from
small stories
from the early
Peter who?
Peter Strzok of the FBI,
Adam Schiff era.
Yeah, well, he has been desperately suing the administration to try to recover something from that, and his last hurrah, unless he files another case, has been unilaterally dismissed by the judge as crazy. It's not your First Amendment right to coordinate efforts to tank the election or to subvert the president.
He said it was his First Amendment right. Did these guys even read the Constitution?
Well, they do read it. They just don't care what it says.
Really? The government will not stop you. I mean, it's not a government. It's your job again. It's another private workplace situation.
No, in their little minds,
little minds.
Read this statute, and they say, well, those words don't appear to say that. But here's what they actually say, because they appear to say the opposite, but what they really say is what we need them to say. And then they just proceed like that's actually what they say. But that goes back to the old saying from the cops. You can beat the rap, but you can't beat the ride. Okay? Which means you may get off eventually, but you are going to have to go through so much in order to get off that you'll feel like you were convicted. Even if you're found innocent, you'll feel like you were convicted, because you'll have to spend tens of thousands of dollars with a lawyer to get off of this stuff. And if it winds up being a federal case, you might as well get off of $100,000, because it is going to be expensive.
Yes, it is. It is not going to be cheap at all, and it's just weird how everything is turning around like now. I mean, and people want to keep on saying it's part of Trump's retribution and everything else and his payback, and it's not. It's actually the law doing what the law is supposed to do. It's actually the law doing the law's work.
Well. Here's my response to them claiming that it's Trump's retribution tour. Retribution for what?
Exactly.
So, I mean, are you now admitting that you have done things to Trump that were unfair or something?
No, there's nothing that was done unfair. The Summer of Love and all the cop riots and all the protests and all the riots at his rallies and the shooting at him, the attempted assassinations and the killing of his one of his adopted sons and everything else, and all these attacks on all his policies, physical attacks, violent attacks. No, that's nothing. That's just playtime.
Exactly.
It's Jello fun.
Exactly.
No, I mean, it's so weird how, I mean, whenever anything goes bad, they blame everything on Trump. But whenever they do something bad, they blame everything on Trump, because, he's the one who's, like we said last week, he's the one inspiring them to get riled up. It's kind of like Ukraine. Today in Ukraine, he did a total flip, which I knew he would do, because he's not he might have one issue where Ukraine has to give up some land to Russia at the very beginning because he's trying to be a peacemaker. But once you realize that Russia has no desire for peace whatsoever, no desire for love whatsoever, no desire to create any kind of a compromise with Ukraine whatsoever, he told Ukraine, go ahead and get all your land back, and we'll help you, and we'll be part of it, and NATO will be part of it, and so on and so forth. I mean, the whole idea here is that Putin has hit the limit with Trump, which everybody thought Trump and Putin were in love. And of course they weren't, but that's just an entire narrative of the Stroke and the Comeys and all the other crackheads and everything else in the DOD and Justice Department and all those other departments, and that were 17 different agencies that were all saying Russia, Russia, Russia. Trump is the evil part of this whole clan. And the whole reality here is that Biden was a whole part of this whole thing. Biden's son was part of the entire Ukrainian corruption issue and the Russian issue and the China issue, and probably covering for COVID and everything else. I mean, it's been the Democrats who have been covering this entire mess for years.
Well, at the end of the day, you got to realize that almost every single thing that the Democrats have accused Trump of are things that they are guilty of. I mean, virtually everything. You'd be hard pressed to find something that they're accusing him of that they are not specifically guilty, like overtly guilty of. Not even in any kind of a hidden back channel way. They're just guilty of sin.
What about bigotry?
Well, they're definitely bigots. Oh my God, are they bigots?
Yeah, read Kamala Harris's new book. She has an interview with Rachel Maddow where she's basically saying that she would have loved to pick Pete Buttigieg, which she wouldn't, of course, but she didn't like Pete because he's a competitor, as her vice presidential candidate, but she did not think the nation was ready for an African American, Indian, black lady president, as well as a white homosexual vice president. She didn't think the country was ready. Actually, it probably actually is, as long as the people are good. I mean, we are not in a bigoted country, but she's a bigot in that race, in that one. She's the one who did not choose him because he was gay. She discriminated against him because of his sexuality.
Well, I mean, the bottom line is the country is ready for a gay president. They're ready for a multicultural, multi-ethnic, whatever president.
No trouble with it.
Just not them.
Exactly, just not them. I mean, Trump is not the moral Billy Graham Republican running. He is not the picture of the Christian right. He is not like Huckabee. He was a very, not to be mean to Trump, but he's an extremely, very well versed, colorful guy who has no problem with marriages or relationships or bankruptcies or casinos or gambling or construction or whatever. I mean, he was a man of the world, and he was a very Renaissance man. Yet the country got behind him in the popular vote against the Democrats in this last election, and he won. Twice, probably won 3 times actually. If you want to, look at the recounting that China made all these fake ballots and everything else for the Bidens, because that's part of Hunter's job, was to make sure that you seal the election for old dear old dad and make sure the old man keeps on getting that China money and everything. And they got those 10 million fake IDs, so probably 10 million fake ballots and everything else. Who knows? We don't know. Nobody will look into it. We don't know.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows?
But the reality is that it's messed up. And I mean, Jim Jordan has finally got Google to come out today. The president of Google, or CEO of Google, came out and said that they were shadow banning all the conservatives for the entire time of the Biden administration and before that, because they were told to by the Justice Department and by James Comey, and then by Peter Strzok, and all the other people after James Comey, with what's his name?
Christopher Wray.
Chris Wray. And so basically, they were really pressured hard, and so was Facebook. And Zuckerberg's coming out saying that he was pushed and pressured to go ahead and shadow ban and to not do things that were fair and equal. And so the entire violation of the First Amendment is really on the Democrat side, not the Republicans at all. In fact, Republicans are wanting everybody to talk. We love dialogue. We love to speak. In fact, the only liberal I think out there who is really big on dialogue is Bill Maher, and I think Joe Rogan is probably a moderate. But there's not very many liberals out there. Jan Psaki and Rachel Maddow and Chris Hayes and all the MSNBC crew. Actually, Scarborough I think is coming more on board of allowing more free speech. But he's a slow process.
He is, and he's in a position in my heart where he will eventually earn forgiveness.
Yeah, he will,
but he will not earn forgetfulness.
Yes, but Morning Joe's. We know him personally, so I have a little bias in my heart for him, because he is actually a really good person. He's a good guy. He has a great family and everything he came from, and so politically, I don't really agree with all of his stuff.
Until he sold his soul. It ain't even politics. He just sold his soul because you remember before he got on that stupid show, he was a conservative Republican. What he did was he sold out his ethics.
Well, a lot of people change when they go to the big city.
Yeah, well, like I said, I forgive him. I just will never trust it.
Right. So, what do you think about the new election over there in Arizona? I guess our Democrat got elected in a special election yesterday. I guess she was a daughter of her dad who passed away, so it was a pretty easy special election right there. And they're saying that her vote is going to be an extra vote to open up the Epstein files, which you keep telling everybody. What are you going to talk about? We pretty much already know Epstein was probably an agent of the government, and most of the stuff,
the Israeli government,
or a double agent with America, or we don't really know the details, and we're probably never going to know the details because it's all classified. And secondly, if Trump really were on this damn list that everybody keeps talking about, we're going to reiterate again, it would have been out already.
Exactly.
It would have been. They have cameras. It would have been out.
Well, remember, the only information they have about Epstein, they got from the Biden FBI, period. Every single thing that they got, there's not some new piece of information that showed up that now is being suppressed. Joe Biden had this information for a very long time. Epstein was dead. Giselle Maxlane, or whatever the heck her name is, she's in jail. So it's not like there was some risk to a case somewhere.
No, there's no risk.
No, there's none. It was, they would have burned Trump in a heartbeat if there was. Look, they've made up stuff to burn him with. Why would they not use something that was actually genuine and documentable? And here's the piece of paper that says all the stuff that Trump was doing.
Why use the truth whenever you can lie so well?
Zach, well, no. why lie when when the truth will do much better?
Well, if the truth would do much better, but it won't because there is no truth there.
Because there's no there.
There's no exactly, and everybody looking into this, everybody freaking out about it. And I mean, yeah, I feel bad for the victims too. I mean, I want all of the people who came out to do it, but if those victims were really connected to Donald Trump directly, they would have named them already. They would have had photographs, or they had selfies, or
And
autographs, or a
exactly.
hand, something.
That they don't even have someone willing to lie and say that Trump was among the people that molested them.
They just say that, they visited him whenever they were in a nurse's outfit with Epstein at the Trump Tower, which is, creepy and weird that Epstein was showing them off as trophy girls.
Yeah.
And he brought them up to Trump to show them off, which, but that happens. That happens in the debauchery world, financial world of New York City.
Well, regardless of debauchery, people walk up to you all the time and show you crap that you don't want to see.
Exactly.
And you are just polite enough to entertain them long enough to like, okay.
Yeah.
Yes, they're very beautiful girls.
Blah, blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah. Congratulations. And off they go.
Exactly. It doesn't mean you raped him.
It doesn't mean that he did. It doesn't mean that he did anything to him.
Exactly. I mean, we're even talking about the underage girls. I mean, we're not even talking about, Epstein taking underage girls to Trump. We're talking about Epstein taking girls in their 30s and 20s to Trump, which, the entire people are losing the forest from the trees here. But one thing with Epstein is all these kids and the child. And people are saying, oh, well, there's like some picture of, I guess, Trump and Ashley Moody when Ashley Moody was like really, really young as a teenager or something like that. I'm like,
Ashley Moody?
Yeah, the U.S. Senator. Yeah, the Attorney General. Now the U.S. Senator. And that's a new scandal out there. They're saying that he was...
I'm sorry, the former prosecutor, former judge, former AG, current senator.
Yeah, and I guess they're assuming that Trump has some sort of like an affair with her when she was underage. I'm like, wow, you guys are... I mean, it really goes to the whole point that I even have Democrats telling me that Trump organized the killing of Charlie Kirk. I mean, these guys are nuts.
That's what they're so desperate. They're so desperate for an effective narrative.
They want the demon to be slayed.
And everything that they've done has been to create narratives that that just fizzle out after about a week. And they're getting desperate because remember, they were getting there was a lot of funding that was coming out of Congress and going to these NGOs.
Right.
And then that money kind of circulated back. Well, that money's been cut off.
Exactly.
So this is what the Democrats and frankly a lot of Republicans, a lot of the establishment Republicans feared the most, was that when Trump got to Washington, he would derail all the quiet little programs that they've got that just take government money and shift them out, and put them out into an environment where they can later get a donation from someone that seems entirely unrelated to that funding thing because it's already passed through the hands of so many NGOs.
Right. I mean, the gravy train ended and they were like, where's the gravy? Where's the train? And so, I mean, the reality here is that, they are just grabbing at straws. In fact, if you want to go on the First Amendment narrative, which is obviously the left's narrative, the guy who was trying to shoot or attempted to shoot him in South Florida, Mr. Ruth, was saying that it was his First Amendment right to protest and to follow and to stalk Trump for over a month and to show guns. He didn't shoot him because it's his First Amendment right to be there and to scope him out with the gun, that he did not really mean any harm against the president. He was just practicing his First Amendment right to protest.
Well, how is it a protest if no one is aware that you're doing it?
So the assassination attempt and scoping out a presidential candidate is now a First Amendment right.
Yeah. Sometimes you just get whiplash with how much you have to shake your head at this kind of thing.
Well, it's just that the left is so abusing the First Amendment, abusing it.
What they're abusing is the good nature of people to delusionally think that these guys are telling them the truth.
And I guess in their defense, they're probably thinking that we're doing the same thing about the Second Amendment, because we think that everybody should have arms and everything else, and that we keep on not really attacking the assault weapons because, of course, there are never any assault weapons ever used. But, because we're not buying the narrative here of just getting rid of guns. So they figure, they'll give us the Second Amendment and we'll give them the First Amendment of use, which actually I like to reiterate to them. We like all the amendments, okay? We're not going to cherry pick the Constitution. It's not a buffet. It's a document that we live by. For a right to assemble, freedom of religion. The First Amendment is very important with what Trump said about people being allowed to pray in schools. They're not really championing that First Amendment, are they?
Exactly.
No. But the Second Amendment here, nothing they create, none of these laws would ever stop one of these crazy people from shooting. Now, what we'll say about the First Amendment is that you can't say fire in a movie theater. You cannot incite hate, incite murder. That's what they're doing.
Well, the First Amendment has nothing to do with what people can do. It gives you the right of free speech, impeding your right to free speech. All right, which is a very different thing. That doesn't mean that the speech that you utter, people, they're depending on what kind of harm that is, then you may have consequences. For example, your fire in a crowded theater example. Can they make it against the law to do that? No, they protect your right to say anything, not your freedom of consequences from saying things. So there can be consequences of what you're saying, but it's not necessarily going to be you may have to pay for it. If some people are hurt by virtue of something that you say, then you could be held legally accountable for it.
Right.
People do. There are things that people can say that cause criminal consequences. So it's not an absolute right to say whatever you want with no consequence. Can I walk into a bank and say, am I suddenly not guilty of bank robbery? Nope. Those things, I still get held accountable for it because you can be, what the government can't do is keep you from holding certain ideas and expressing those ideas.
And nobody's stopping anybody.
No.
But, once again, when, people don't seem to realize when it comes to the private sector and the private workplace and everything else, they have their own rules. You work for a boss.
Even when you work for the government, you can't just say whatever you want to say.
No. You can't even be political, really. Actually, you have to sign
You're not supposed to be political.
Right. Most government agencies and actually most financial institutions have I forgot which act it is, but anyway, they make you sign some sort of document saying that you will not be politically active while you're working for a financial institution or while you're working for a government institution or anything like that. And I know for government, it's the Hatch Act, everything else. So they don't want you to be involved in campaigns, pushing a narrative that's going to be for or against the people that are funding them or not funding them.
Well, they can't prohibit you, and they don't prohibit you from being involved in them, but you cannot, like if you're a soldier, you cannot wear a uniform.
Right.
You
to a campaign.
To a campaign event.
No.
And campaign event, you're not even supposed to be introduced as a government employee. You're really not supposed to be introduced as a politician, but they can't really throttle the politicians. But the government employees, they absolutely can throttle you and say that you can't talk about this sort of thing and be introduced as like the director of solid waste or
judge candidates seem to get away with it differently than judicial candidates seem to get away with it differently because it's really technically non-political because it is nonpartisan. And so they hide behind that being nonpartisan, non-political to where they can actually talk about their military career and wear their uniforms and outfits and advertisements and so on and so forth. However, if you're running for state rep or Congress or something like that, you wear your uniform, they're going to get a little pissy.
Yeah, they're getting a little twitchy on that.
But lawyers who are running for judge, they usually give them a pass. And some people do complain, but the complaints they kind of go into a really blank wall.
Yeah. It just usually gets either held on until people just quit asking about it, or they just give some dismissive technical reason to get rid of it, and off it goes.
Right. Well, I think we covered everything here pretty quickly in a Reader's Digest form today. Okay. Well, I just want to make sure everybody subscribes to us. Keep it up here on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Amazon and iHeartRadio and Rumble and everyone X and Facebook. and just keep staying in tune here.
In all the ways that you consume media.
Every single way, except for network. We're not on a network yet.
Yeah,
So we're capable. Well, who knows? Maybe one day.
Yeah, the podcast's still young.
Exactly. Well, a year and a half. But this is actually our 225th episode, and it is, I guess today is September 24th of 2025. So you guys have a really good evening, and talk to y'all later.
Talk to you later.